before we do score predictions, big game this weekend. Liverpool Roms host Manchester City. Are you going to end City's chances of winning the Premier League this weekend?
Yes, I think we win this game. Like, I know some people, the question's going to get thrown out sooner rather than later, but Konate's been injured and whatnot. I was at the game, and the minute I saw him hobbling, he's out minimum a month. I don't know why all this press came out to say, the injury's not as serious. I don't know if the TV picked it up, but as he went through the tunnel, he kept touching his knee. He looked like he was in so much discomfort. But Joe Gomez and Van Dijk, this is a partnership that's won everything. Yes, he's not to a Konate level, because people on the panel and in the chat might detest this, but I think Konate has been the best centre-back in the Premier League this season. For me, anyway. It might be a bit of bias, but I think he's been that good. So, in the grand scheme of things, it will be a blow for this game, but I think the way City are playing, I know it's cliche, but a lot of games are won in the midfield battle, right? And I just look at any combination they can make, and I just don't think it bodes well for this game, especially for this game in isolation. I'm looking at Gundogan, which his legs are shot. KDB can't even start games at the moment. I think he's only coming on last 15, 20 minutes. You've got Matheus Nunes that's been deployed out wide. I think that's the only one in the midfield that's industrious right now. Kovacic is out. Obviously, we know there's no Rodri. I just think their midfield shot, and I think this is where the game's going to be dominate for us. Yes, they still got individuals that can turn it on. Your Haaland, your Savios, your Kevin De Bruyne when he comes on. But I just think the momentum we have right now, the form we're in, it's at Anfield. I just think we're going to win this game. I'm not going to go crazy and predict a mad scoreline. I know you want to say that for the end, Terry. I don't think it will be a mad scoreline, because it is still City at the end of the day. And we've all watched football long enough. Sometimes when you have a wounded animal and the world's against you and your back's against the wall, normally that's when you put out your best performances. I think all of our clubs have an example of that, where the whole world was probably expecting you to not get a result and you churn out a surprise result. I expect a better City performance simply because they have to perform a bit better. But I think we're winning this game, and I think everything points in the direction of us winning the game, and I do think we do win the game. Don't know if
before the Feyenoord game, I actually thought it'll be a draw, because I thought City will eventually wake up. At some point, they're going to start clicking and performing better. That Feyenoord game just tells you, man, like, these guys have just lost confidence. Like, they've just got their heads down. Kyle Walker coming a couple of weeks ago saying we've lost confidence in ourselves, which for me is a bit mad. Like, you could be like, you're a 4P champion and you're saying that, but I don't know, man. If this was at the Etihad, I would have said maybe like City due to Liverpool, what Liverpool did to City a couple of years ago when Liverpool finished fifth, but Salah scored that goal and they won 1-0, even though they were not in form and City were flying. I would have said, okay, maybe. And the only other way I see them getting a result is if Pep changes his style for this game, which he's never going to do, right? Basically, sit deep, understand that you don't have the quality, you don't have the midfield to battle Liverpool right now. Sit deep and play on the counter. But again, he's not going to do that. It's just because maybe, look, this is what makes him, for me, the greatest manager of all time, that he wants to dominate wherever he goes, home and away.
Sitting deep,
but I guess now it's a problem.
Yeah, but sitting deep, you're already saying we're defeated. Like, no one even goes into a fight, covering their head and in a kind of embryonic state. You go into a fight with your fists up. So
not when you know you have deficiencies, though. Too, like, if they go with their fists up, that's exactly
when you do it. That's exactly when you do it. Because if you already kind of show yourself, we're going to just defend the box all game. The game's already set. The team already knows. Liverpool already know. Hey, these guys are here. They're scared. They don't even want to come out their box. There's no point. There was no point for the fans to even show up and watch the game.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, but when Liverpool, that's not true. Yeah, because when Liverpool did that 2 seasons ago and they switched their style and they stopped pressing because they were in such a bad form. They switched up their style. They played more defensive and played on the counter. And that worked. They won the game.
That's the game,
that time, right?
Yeah, that's the game. Salah spun Cancelo. And he scored the goal. You're right, because I think we had a lot of injury. I think the irony is Joe Gomez actually came into the team that game and played another good game. But you're right. I just feel like with this City play as well, man. I know Will spoke about this as well for the last couple of weeks. You look at where their goals are coming from, and if it's not Haaland at the moment, I think their second highest goal scorer is Matheus Nunes or Vardio. I think they both might be joint second. And in past seasons, you've had Rodri that's clutch. He's not there. You've had Alvarez to get them out of jail at times. He's not there. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Foden having his best season last season. He's he's been in bad form this season. I'm looking around. If it's not Haaland, where are the other goals really going to come from? And that's another area which is a concern for City. I just think we're going to have too much for them on Sunday. I think they might get a consolation goal here and there, but for me, my main concern for City and the main advantage for us is the midfield, because in their last 6 games where they've not won, they just look so old. I think the word is just old. I just think there's no industry in that midfield, bar Mateus Nunes, which hasn't really been playing there. I just think we're going to run them ragged in that section, and it's going to win the game for us personally.
I actually think that City so I think this game ends in a draw. I think they will not lose this game. I feel like, you know, like when everything's just like going against some team and it's like the obvious thing to pick the other. That's kind of how I feel about this game. Like, this feels like a trap game where everybody's just ready to banter City. They're laughing at Pep scratching his head and all these different things. And I think they will get a result. I don't know if I doubt they'll win, but I think that they will get a point. Now, in terms of, I do agree with what Ash said, and I don't agree with what Toon said in terms of, like, there's no point in sitting back because you're showing that you're giving up. Bro, I think this is the time where Pep Guardiola shows us that he can change it up, because these are unusual times for Man City. Usually, City are arguably the only team in the world where it doesn't matter who they're playing against, they're able to play their style of football. But City at the same time have not been in this situation where they haven't won a game in over a month. They're getting ran through in midfield. They look washed, to be honest. And I think this is time. This is where managers earn their money, right? It's time for you to do something different. You're going to go play Liverpool, who are arguably the best team in Europe on form, right? They just beat Real Madrid 2-0. They're on cloud 9 right now. So you cannot continue to do what you're doing. You could even beat Feyenoord. So this is going to tell me a lot about Pep Guardiola on if he has anything else to his management, right? And I think going to play like Liverpool, and if they do sit back and they look to hit them on the counter, there's nothing wrong with that, because the way that they've been playing with their current crop of players, with all the injuries that they have, if they go in, they're trying to be on the front foot, and if they're the ones who are trying to create the big chances to score the goals initially, Liverpool are going to cook them. So I think it's time for Pep Guardiola to switch some things up, because he has to.
Do you know what, though?
Yeah,
what I will say, I agree with what you just said, but if they do go pragmatic and park the bus and hit us on the counter, they'll look like very big hypocrites, because they got Arsenal for doing this. Their own players come out and said, "Why didn't Arsenal give it a go?" They all look like massive hypocrites. That's what I'm going to say.
But you know, the funny thing is,
do you want to look like a hypocrite, or do you want to still try and
get result? No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
No, but the funny thing is, Roms, the funny thing is 2 seasons ago, they did that, though. They came to Arsenal. We were ahead of them in the league. They needed to win to go top that time when they beat us 3-1 at the Emirates. Pep Guardiola had his lowest ever possession as a manager. They had 34% or 36% possession that game. They won 3-1. They were comfortable when they were counterattacking. They forced us into mistakes. Obviously, Tomiyasu didn't help by giving them the ball in the first, but they played back and they just let us have the ball. So he did adapt that time. He just has
Rob,
to do it again.
I hear your point about the hypocritical stuff, but this is why when fans focus on that, again, it does my brain in. It's like what you watch a lot of fighting like I do. It's a psychological game. Everybody tries to. You hear fans do it. You hear clubs do it. Oh, they don't attack. They're playing anti-football. City do this very well, but they start congratulating teams they beat 5-0. At least they had a go and they opened up. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to tap into the macho element of the men on the pitch and the egos by making a team open up and come out and play. I've seen City many times in the last 2 or 3 seasons go away to Liverpool and be, I wouldn't call it pragmatic, but not as expansive. Because in the first 2 or 3 times, especially when they went up against Klopp's team, the first 2 or 3 times I opened up and they got a slapping. And I think they realized we can't beat that Liverpool team that way. All week, though, I've said I think Liverpool were going to slap them. But that one super chat and what Will said has got in my head now about could this be, because everybody thinks Liverpool are going to win. Is this when Man City?
You know what? Will's just saying that because he's still licking his wounds from Wednesday. That's why Will's saying that. I'm joking.
I know why Terry's saying it. Because last season, when United were crap and went to Anfield, everyone predicted 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. And it ended 0-0.
That didn't come in my head all week. It's only when Will said it, I thought, you know what? That's a really good point. It's just if Liverpool allow it to get into their heads that this is going to be 7 games without a win, we're going to make it 4 defeats in the Premier League, it might just psychologically could just change the game 5-10%.
Do you know what validates what Will said?
Oh, sorry.
Just quickly, sorry, Will. Do you know what validates what you said even more, Will, right? If City were to adapt and just, because they don't necessarily have the personnel to play at their prompt, right? If they were to be pragmatic and hit us on the counter, the one loss we've had this season was against a team that did exactly that. Nottingham Forest literally parked their double decker and said, look, come out, so then we're going to keep hitting you on the counter. So it's the one loss we've had this season where a team actually set up like that. So you have a point. I even said this early in the week. When I saw final come back from 3-0 down to 3-3, I said straight away, I thought of Sunday's game, and I said, you know what? Their best bet might just to be part of the bus and let us just go at them.
You know, I'll say this, Roms. As much as I want them to win, just so that the gap closes down and we are like 6 points behind you guys if we get the job done. The other thing that worries me though is that if somehow City pull a win against you guys,
could be the catalyst,
and are 5 points behind, it could easily be the catalyst, and suddenly their season looks like it could change. Because you will never bet against a team like City if they get that move, if they get that win and they're 5 points behind, they're like, you know what, actually we can win.
I don't know if I can articulate this correctly. I don't want City winning the league. I don't care who else wins it as long as City don't. The 5p is such a level of history they'd create that I just don't want to see that. I don't want Liverpool to win it because they go on 20 league titles, but it's the lesser of two evils to me personally. However, I feel Arsenal need Liverpool to win this game this weekend to genuinely give you guys a chance of winning. Because I think you're right. If City win, it's you're still not top.
Muscle memory.
But it's the muscle memory will kick in, and then suddenly Arsenal got to overtake 2 teams. If City lose, I think you might find the team just concedes the league, and then all you really got to worry about Arsenal is what Liverpool do, as opposed to maybe worrying about 2 teams. So,
that's why we want to draw. That's why we want to draw.
A draw would probably be the best result for you all. A draw would probably. Terry, are you drunk? No, a man can have 1 drink without being drunk, my bro. I'm not a baby. So no, I'm not drunk. But there we go.
On like that bogey point that I was making. I don't know if any of you guys gamble, but you know how it was like City's form, right? So what is it? If they lose against like Liverpool, it should be 7 straight L's. How I always view it is like, what is the odds of this being the game? Like if I was to put money on it, I feel like I'm putting myself in like a trap situation.
It's like looking at a roulette table, right?
Yeah, it's just like
a lot of reds there. One of the blacks is coming up.
So the odds are the same, but it's the probability. The probability of City going 7 games without a win is less than the probability of them winning at Anfield in actual. Because if you'd have put a bet on to not winning 7 games, you would have probably got something like 2,000 or 3,000 to 1 as the odds.
Yeah.
Versus it's not 2,000 or 3,000 to 1 odds to win away at Anfield. So it is still, based on what we know, it is still more likely that they would have beaten Liverpool at Anfield, then go 7 games without a win. So you are right. At some point, it's got to end. And the one great thing about football is that it throws up scripts that Martin Scorsese and Spielberg working together couldn't write. It does. It throws every week. You see something happen that nobody expected. And
especially
maybe it's that.
This league and this season in particular, especially this season, the results have been crazy. And when I read stats like with a crowd, and I know some people might downplay that, but it's relevant because without a crowd, the only win they've had since 2003. But with a crowd, they've not beat us since 2003. When I start hearing them stuff, it starts to make you think, oh,
wait, isn't that the same with your Premier League title though, Roms?
That was uncalled for. But hopefully that changes this.
Liverpool fans never witnessed a trophy being lifted, therefore it may not have happened. Do you ever get that philosophy question at school? If a tree falls over in the forest when nobody's there, did it make a noise or not? That's kind of how it is.
You know what? This is why I want to win the league as well. One, it matches Terry's club's title, but also we're not in these jokes with Blackburn now and Leicester and whatnot. We would actually have won the time. That's why
I hear you.
Their fans saw it, Roms. Their fans were there.
Dad, come on, man. But yeah, that's even more the reason we need to do it.
Yeah,
man.
but just feel sorry. I feel sorry for Toon Tactics and Will here because neither Newcastle or Real Madrid have won a Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So it's just for all the idiots watching, that's a joke. All right. If you thought that was serious, please go and touch some grass. Some